Sharon, and I'm from Brooklyn Center.
Did you know that as a resident of Brooklyn Center, you have an all-access pass to Northwest Community Television? You can produce your own show or help other residents create theirs.
What I like about Northwest Community Television, it's a community where I can produce my own craft shows and kids programs, as well as helping others with their shows.
Ready to produce your own TV show? Visit nwct.org. Get your all-access pass today.
This is going to be for the first show. There. So this is ready. Okay. We're going to recycle, reuse, and make something old into something new. Yep. My name is Sharon Kephart, and this is Angel, and our show is Auntie Sharon's Crafts and More. Okay, girl, are you ready? I want my viewers to look at things differently, and that's what I try to do, is I look around the house and I'll walk around and say, oh, I could use that in one of my crafts. My show is on Channel 20. It plays on Thursday nights, 7 to 8 p.m. It plays at 3 o'clock in the morning for those that are up that early, and also from 11 to noon on Friday morning.
Hi, I'm Ashley from Kids for a Better World, a nonprofit organization encouraging the empowerment of youth, supporting youth initiatives, and creating partnerships to address the needs of individuals, children, and families. Be the change.
Be the change and make your action get involved. Be the change and make your action get involved.
Hi, I'm Auntie Sharon. Welcome back to my show. Come join me on my comeback journey. It's a new show that I started. It's been about a year now. I started it when I had a traumatic brain injury back on January 6, 2016. It was last year. And I started this show because I didn't feel comfortable going back in front of the camera to do my other shows because of the traumatic brain injury, that it caused some symptoms that were very difficult for me at the time with speech and with cognitive. But this show has been a great show that I've been doing now for a year because it's helped me to be able to do my journey of coming back so that I can feel comfortable in front of the camera again. Again, my show is not edited. This is from the point of view of someone with a traumatic brain injury so that you could see the journey that we go through and the struggles that we have with what I'm having right now. My thought process, my speech, I know what I want to say, I had it all planned, and then it just left me. And that's what happens. Even though it's been a year, I still have symptoms and I'm struggling with that. But today I have a guest that I am so excited about to introduce you to. And I think we're going to end up having my guest on for a couple different parts. I think maybe we might have 4 shows or maybe 6 shows. That I'm so excited because my guest is a musician-singer. How do you say that? I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. But I am so excited because he's got a wonderful voice and he's got a great message. And he also has had his own struggles with traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I'd like to invite you now to, okay, I just lost the word. I would like to introduce you to my guest. His name is Mark Banker. Mark, thank you so much for coming on my show. And again, I hope you understand that this show is not edited, so what they see and what they hear is what they get.
Well, that's life.
and it's our life, right? With
That's
the
right.
the symptoms that we sometimes have to every day
Correct.
that we have to struggle with.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I grew up in the area in Crystal. Went to Cooper High School. Graduated a long time ago, 1982.
That's not that long.
Yeah, it sounds longer ago than it feels, I think. Started playing music actually when I was, probably 7 or 8 years old. My grandfather and my aunt were large influences on me musically. And I started off performing for people when I was 8 or 9 years old, playing accordion at Northridge Care Center in New Hope. I didn't stick with accordion a long time. Eventually I got into guitar at about age 12 and started singing. And it's been a lifelong journey of playing guitar and singing.
Wish I had the voice for it, but I just love listening to songs and especially when they have meaning to you also.
Sure.
And I think that we're going to find that a bunch of the songs that you're going to sing have a personal meaning to them and maybe to you out there. The whole thing about traumatic brain injury, can you just briefly, because we're going to get into it more later,
Sure.
tell us a little bit about what happened to you with traumatic brain injury?
Sure. After high school, I joined the Army, and I enlisted to be a paratrooper in the infantry with the 82nd Airborne Division. I had 2 different head injuries, and the first one was in the Sudan in Africa when I was just on a jump, and there was one giant boulder for miles, and I happened to hit that boulder when landing, and I had a head injury from that. And then a second one about 9 months later on a jump, and it's kind of a long story, but it was just kind of entanglement with another paratrooper on the way down, and ended up having an accident and having a head injury and some other injuries.
What was the years that you were in the service?
I was in the service from early '83 to near the end of '86.
So back then, did they ever use the term TBI, traumatic brain injury?
No, it was just a concussion.
Concussion. That seems to be, I think, what, 10 years ago is when they first started to come out with the term TBI because of all the sports people that were having injuries in that. But concussions, a TBI is a concussion. So I think back then when we were experiencing some concussions when we were younger, they didn't realize that the damage that really was happening to our brains back then. It was just within the last 10 years that it became really apparent with all of the sports people.
I think with our military and the IEDs as well in Iraq and Afghanistan, with the immense blast that comes from those explosions as well.
Was that like in the last 10, 15 years that they started looking into that too?
I believe so. Just the significance of the explosions and that the soldiers face is extreme, and that, and I think with the football players, the professional football players, I think is
Right.
where a lot of it began, with those 2 sources.
Well, we know that there's different kinds of TBIs. There's mild, there's medium, and there's severe. Mine was kind of a mid-range in that. So I have cognitive problems and issues, and I had speech issues for the longest time. I still sometimes trip over my words.
Sure.
What kinds of experiences and symptoms do you feel you have? There, I lost the word. That you have experienced from the
Sure.
the traumatic brain injury?
Well, it's interesting when I look back at the list of symptoms, and I recognize some things going back and all the way to when I was 20 years old and these things happened, or 19 and 20. But I didn't realize the issues were related to that until about 10 years ago. I had a period of about a year where I was traveling for business, and when I was very tired, usually on Friday nights, I would suddenly feel very faint, and I'd lay down, and I always thought I'd passed out just for a second. And I ended up in several cardiac units around the country because they thought it was my heart.
Yeah.
But yet all the tests for my heart, I had a good heart. No matter how many times they tried to kill me on the treadmill. But one time a doctor in Seattle told me, "Mark, you need to go home now and figure this out." And so I went to the Minnesota Heart Clinic, and everything checked out normal again. Until one day my family and I were driving to the VA hospital in Minneapolis to visit my father, and it was rush hour down on 94, just come out of the tunnel, passing by 35W, and suddenly I felt like I was going to pass out. And my oldest daughter, Amy, steered us to the side of the road as I put my foot on the brake, and my son, I think they were 12 and 10 at the time, my son climbed up out of his seat to look to see if it was clear and tell her she could go over to the side of the road, and ended up getting my heart checked again.
So they were thinking it was your heart when really it wasn't.
Yep, I had a seizure then on a flight home. And on that flight home, I was talking to a gentleman, and next thing I felt like I was going to faint, but this one was different, and it went much deeper, and I ended up having a seizure on the plane. And it worked out really well because we had been we'd been in a holding pattern because it'd been backed up from weather, and we were just being diverted to Sioux Falls to refuel. And the airplane happened to be filled with neurologists coming back from a big convention down in Dallas.
Really?
And so I had great care, but we got on the emergency landing priority list, and so we were right on the ground, and everybody cheered when they hauled me off the plane for getting them on the ground.
Oh, wow.
But so that was the first time that I was aware of having a seizure, but I think all the occurrences before that then were actually seizures.
And so the seizures are part of that traumatic brain injury that you had as a paratrooper, right?
Yes, they haven't, because of the time between the head injuries and when the seizures started, they're not tied definitively to that.
Okay.
But because of that history, they think that it might be, but they can't be certain. So it's kind of an undiagnosed reason.
I want to make sure that we let our audience know that you sang before your traumatic brain injury, and you now are still singing.
Yes.
And did you have any difficulties with your singing at any time from before the traumatic brain injury to after?
You know, I didn't have any difficulties actually with the singing aspect. It's the lyrics. I can't remember them anymore like I used to. But that changed after the seizure on the airplane. I was always really good at memorizing songs, and I had about 1,000 songs in my head.
Wow.
And afterwards, I think I had maybe 6 songs I could remember. And now 10 years later, I have maybe a dozen songs that I can remember. And so I rely on a tablet for the lyrics. And if I look away, Sometimes I have a hard time finding my way back to where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
If I look away, I'll mess up the lyrics, but I'm okay with that. I'm a perfectionist, and so it was a struggle for me to accept that, but I've accepted that now, and it's all right.
Yeah, I understand about the whole perfectionism thing, because my shows I would always edit them, so they were just like perfect in that. But since the traumatic brain injury, it was really hard to even start this show, to allow people out there to hear me make mistakes. Like, I've been making mistakes, and I've been, forgetting what I wanted to say and goofing up what my thoughts and that. And I've lost track of time, apparently, too. So I want to make sure that the audience knows that we're here. This is a journey for us.
Correct.
Traumatic brain injury has kind of put a little barrier in our way as we were walking. It's like, for me, I'm walking across a cliff, or not a cliff, I'm walking across a path, and I'm coming to the end, and all of a sudden it drops off. And so I just need to kind of find a way around to continue on that road. And I think that's what it's important about what we're here and what we're trying to do and why we're doing the show, is to show you what it's like for us every day, the mistakes we make and that. But we can continue on, and our life, even though it's a struggle, we find meanings to get us around those paths, and so we can continue, and to allow ourselves to accept ourselves for where we're at. And we also are letting you know and see us this vulnerable, so that you can see what it's like for us and accept us for where we're at too.
Sure.
So without further ado, I want to make sure we get to a couple of songs, and we're going to be back. Mark's going to be back. I think we're going to do a few. This whole month, I think, is going to be a fun month with the songs and that, and our interviews. So I would like to talk about your song that you're going to do.
Okay.
I think it's the Thank You.
Yes.
Who wrote that? I think Robert Plant and Jimmy Page or something.
Yeah, Robert Plant and Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin. And it's a song that I loved and have played since I was probably 12 years old. But I never sang it because Robert Plant's voice is very high. Mine is not. But finally, at some point, I decided it's okay. I don't have to do it like Robert Plant. And the song, Thank You, is just a great song of providing thanks to that special person in your life. I look at it more as those special people in your life. The song is very specific to one person, say my wife, but my whole family is the way I look at it, is as a thank you for the support and love that they show me.
And you have 3 kids, right?
I have 4 kids.
4 kids. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Oh, I goofed that one.
Well, no, we have an adopted son.
Okay.
Yes, so I have 3. We have 3 kids that were natural to us, and a 4th one that has been a wonderful addition.
Well, I would love to hear your song. Would you
Great.
grace us with your beautiful voice and music?
I would love to.
Great. Mark Banker is singing the song Thank You. Take it away, Mark.
If the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. When mountains crumble to the sea there would still be you and me. The kind of woman I give you my all, the kind of woman, nothing more. Little drops of rain, whisper of pain, tears, love's lost in the days gone by. My love is strong, you there is no wrong. Together we shall go until we die. An inspiration is what you are to me. An inspiration, Lord can see. And so today my world, it smiles. Your hand in mine, we walk miles. And thanks to you, it will be done. For you and me are the only one. Oh, happiness no more be said. Happiness, I am glad. Little drops of rain, whispered of pain, tears of love's lost in the days gone by. My love is strong, with you there is no wrong. Together we shall go until we die. An inspiration is what you are to me. An inspiration, Lord can see. If the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. When mountains crumble to the sea, there would still be you and me. This song is called Trials and Temptations Blues. It was the first song that really made me realize that my voice was better suited to something like this rather than hard rock music, because I had a lower range, and it's by a guy named Dan Meyer. Just second mid-semester, your homework is piling up. Your folks called up last Tuesday. Your dad chewed out your grades. Your room, it looks like bad news. Your roommate's got the flu. You've got them low down, worn out. Trials and Temptations Blues. Well, Matthew, Mark, and John, and even the Dr. Luke, and Jim and Tim and Pete and Paul, they all had their bad times too. But Jesus won't desert you. God Almighty, He had the blues. He even went through hell just to die on that cross for you. And He gave us His Holy Spirit to always lead us through. Them low down, worn out, test taking, mind breaking. Second mid-semester, thank God it's Friday. Trials and temptations blues. You've got the blues.
Welcome back. That was great. I have Mark Banker back with me now after he sang 2 wonderful songs. Let our audience know a little bit about what singing means to you.
Singing has always been a great escape for me. And I enjoy playing for myself, and I really enjoy playing for others.
It touched me very much, the songs and that. And I can't wait to have you back
Thank you.
on my show next week for part 2 of this journey that we're both on. And so I will see you next week. I give you my heart. See you later.
I'm Ben Utek. I played high school, college, and pro football, helping my team win the 2006 championship. My career ended after I suffered my 5th concussion. More than 1 million athletes suffer a concussion each year. The American Academy of Neurology recommends athletes thought to have a concussion be immediately removed from play and assessed by a healthcare professional trained in concussion. This isn't just about sports. It's about your brain. When in doubt, sit it out. A message from the American Academy of Neurology.
I'm Sharon, and I'm from Brooklyn Center.
Did you know that as a resident of Brooklyn Center, you have an all-access pass to Northwest Community Television? You can produce your own show or help other residents create theirs.
What I like about Northwest Community Television, it's a community where I can produce my own craft shows and kids programs, as well as helping others with their shows.
Ready to produce your own TV show? Visit nwct.org. Get your all-access pass today.
This is going to be for the first show. There. So this is ready. Okay. We're going to recycle, reuse, and make something old into something new. Yep. My name is Sharon Kephart, and this is Angel, and our show is Auntie Sharon's Crafts and More. Okay, girl, are you ready? I want my viewers to look at things differently, and that's what I try to do, is I look around the house and I'll walk around and say, oh, I could use that in one of my crafts. My show is on Channel 20. It plays on Thursday nights, 7 to 8 p.m. It plays at 3 o'clock in the morning for those that are up that early, and also from 11 to noon on Friday morning.
Hi, I'm Ashley from Kids for a Better World, a nonprofit organization encouraging the empowerment of youth, supporting youth initiatives, and creating partnerships to address the needs of individuals, children, and families. Be the change.
Be the change and make your get involved.